Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. In this, our May 12th, 2020 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including the latest episode of Supergirl, the finale coming up. We're going to be talking casting for Superman and Lois, Superman animated movies, and so much more. We're also going to be turning to you to ask your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss, and to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show. Let me introduce you to my co-host. He's a little bit not feeling that great, but he's going to fake it till he makes it. My friend, Michael Bailey. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Well, for me,
I'm
anyway.
I'm glad you're doing well. We're doing that thing we do this time of year where you're starting to put on more clothes, and I can't do it shirtless, obviously, but it's starting to get warmer around here. But anyways, you guys didn't come here to have us talk about the weather. You came to WGBS Live to hear us talking about Superman. And because we want to hear from the Superman fans watching us live on YouTube right now, we have a variety of things that we will try to do. One of them probably more than the other. The first is, if there isn't a whole lot on the docket, which tonight there isn't, we may get to actually taking a call. So if you want to be part of that, here's how it works. Get on Skype, find Superman homepage, and message us that you'd like to be on the show. Now, a couple weird little things. One, message us. Don't just, try to call or anything, because it can screw things up. And two, if you're using a external speaker to watch WGBS Live, please turn that down, because that can really mess up because we're on a bit of a delay. And there's another way they can do that. What is that, Steve?
The other way you can get involved, obviously, is to use the comments on YouTube. Participate there live via YouTube, make your comments, ask questions. Michael and I will react to those questions and comments as the show goes on. And we want to also thank our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. If you want to support the Superman homepage, head to patreon.com/Superman homepage. Yeah, the graphic there kind of came up on half your face there. It was a bit weird. I am on a new computer here, but all good. We'll push on. Hopefully everything runs smoothly as the next hour continues.
Hey, you keep blocking my face, the ratings will go up.
Not done on purpose, I promise you.
But, I know that.
But hopefully everything runs smoothly tonight, and we want to thank everyone who's tuning in live. We've already got 9 people tuning in as we've gone into the first couple of 11 already, the first couple of minutes of our show. And we are still in the COVID-19 world of shutdowns and restrictions, but we are starting to see some things getting lifted here and there. But for you and I, we're still in isolation on opposite sides of the world.
Yeah, I
want to do the show in your bedroom, but they just said no, you can't have people from Australia and America at this point in time.
That is too bad. I mean, I can make some comments to that, but I'm not going to. No, it's gotten weird. I was on the phone with a customer for 5 minutes the other day talking about the elliptical machine he saw on our website. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, wait, you work for an office supply store, do you have ellipticals on your website? And the answer is yes, we do. And it was just this really strange conversation where I had to convince this man, we don't have them in the store. He has to order them. And don't order it to be delivered to the store, because then you're going to have to come and get an elliptical machine. And I have no idea where I would even put that. They'd probably have to deliver it in the back. So it's getting to be into the weird end of the pandemic where everything is slightly surreal. Yeah, and it's not really... There are certain parts of the country that are fine. There are other parts of the country that aren't. And the numbers aren't going down. So that's the problem.
All right, a couple of questions right off the bat. Venkman asking, is that a Superman standee behind you? I believe it's a towel or a blanket. Blanket, yeah.
Yeah, it is a blanket. Let's see if I can turn around a little bit. Maybe you can get a better shot of that. Yeah, it's one of the blankets that we found over the years. I have no idea when we actually got this, because Steve probably goes through this as well. When a Superman movie comes out, we tend to try to buy as much merchandise as we can, because there's not usually a lot of Superman merchandise out. So it's like when Superman Returns came out, we bought so much stuff. And every once in a while something, but it's a really nice blanket and very warm in the winter, I might add.
Yes, I think I've got that blanket myself, and there were a few around the same time that came out, and they're really plush and warm. My wife uses my one regularly, and she won't let me have it anymore. So
yeah, thankfully I've managed to find enough Nightmare Before Christmas blankets to kind of keep Rachel. But no, I've got like a Justice League one that's kind of nice. But I have Marvel posters up right now because that's just where my mood is, and that looks bad on a Superman show. So I just hang out the thing, and I got a Superman background, and we got the calendar, which I'm not really in the mood to complain about things, but this is not an exciting month.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, Superman is took the Legion of Superheroes, I believe, and Superman's flying over the top of it, but I got the same calendar in the background here. Robert Schroeder in the comments is asking, does anyone know why the videos keep getting taken down over the last couple of weeks? They have been down, but they have been put back up. Well, when I say down, they've been blocked for copyright concerns automatically on YouTube, and then I put in not a complaint, but I dispute the blocking, and then overnight Warner Brothers tends to realize that yes, the automatic copyright thing that is on YouTube has overstepped the mark, and that as a news item or a news program, we have the fair use copyright clause that we are allowed to post snippets and things of items as we discuss them, and then generally those YouTube videos will be unblocked and are available to watch. But the first 24 hours can be a little bit tricky as YouTube tends to kind of, as I say, overstep the mark, probably overcompensating for copyright concerns, blocking our videos or making them unavailable in some locations. And then when I put in the dispute, that is reversed and the videos are available to watch once again.
Yeah, it's not really. I don't think it's in Warner's self-interest to block it. I mean, we're sitting here giving their character pretty much an hour's worth of free publicity and telling you to go watch things. So it's not like we're like sitting here watching an episode of Supergirl that we run on the screen as the video runs. It's, hey, this is really cool. You need to go do this, or hey, we didn't really like this, but go find out for yourself. Which yeah, YouTube's weird, just in general. Have you had any problems, just out of curiosity, because they were trying to put in that thing that if you're in any way talking about a children's character, they may put you in a different
category.
Category. Have we had that problem? Or?
They ask you now, as a matter of course, every time you upload a video or create a video, whether or not it's made for children, and I just say that no, this is not. I mean, we're not specifically made for children. Children can watch, but we are not a children's program, and that's where the trickiness comes in. But no, we are, for adult content that is not restricted to only adults. It's not adults only. It's available for all ages, so we can, we don't have too much issues on that side of things.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear, because that was a little scary there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our topics tonight. Movie news. Just seeing Tina talking about the rumors that have been circulating around about Henry Cavill coming back as Superman. There are a lot of speculative videos and posts out there. There is nothing substantive to those rumors. Otherwise, you would have seen us report on them. It is just speculation. People seeing that nothing has been happening with the Supergirl movie that had been announced quite a while ago now. And so therefore their minds turn to the fact, well, if there's no Supergirl the movie, then it must mean there's a Superman movie. I don't know how you make that connection. There has been nothing that I've seen, heard, or can really report on that would indicate to me that Warner Brothers has changed their mind on where things are going with Superman, or that Henry Cavill is suddenly back in the picture with them. I hope that's true, but there's nothing actually to report. It's like, move along, there's nothing to see here.
Yeah, and that's why we don't devote a whole lot of time to stuff like that, just because it's just giving air to something that doesn't need it. On the most benign side, it's kind of annoying because some of this is just like just idle message board, to date myself, message board chatter being given like more substantiation. On the other hand, there are people that are really looking forward to Henry coming back, and there are people that are really looking forward to a Superman film. And why would you sit there and get their hopes up for no reason? I mean, it just seems mean almost.
Yeah. No. So we will report on something once we know anything has more substance to it than just a rumor and speculation. There is nothing to see here, so move along. And we will move along. And this week, Justice League Dark Apokolips War was released digitally, as we mentioned. And on May 9th, Warner Brothers Home Entertainment, in conjunction with ING, had a live watch party, and which was followed by a digital panel, which, not having a digital copy of Justice League Dark Apokolips War, I wasn't part of, or didn't take part of. But it was great to see that this kind of thing can happen, and that the panels are something that fans can be involved with. I've seen a lot of these kind of Zoom reunions and things, and now they're doing live panels, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I've never really participated in a watch party like this because I don't buy things digitally normally. I get a digital copy when I buy the Blu-ray, so why buy a digital copy and then get a physical copy that has a digital copy? That seems kind of counterproductive. But I love the fact that since it's like, you try to look in the upside of everything going on. Well, the upside is that these producers and writers and directors and actors and all musicians and stuff have the time now to Jerry O'Connell looks kind of like he's asleep in that one video. Not that I am one to talk, because sometimes when I'm looking down it does look like I'm dozing off. I'm not, but the fact of the matter is that they have time now, because usually these people are super busy. They're taking meetings, they're making the donuts essentially. And now, because everyone, especially in California, is kind of sheltered in place, it gives fans a unique opportunity to maybe not like directly interact with the actors and all them, but just to see them talking about it in more of it isn't like watching a DVD extra.
No.
You're watching it live as it happens. So, and it gives fans, especially those that are stuck at home, a chance to come together and socialize, which some people really need. It's just I am lucky in that I get to leave the house just about every day if I want to. On my days off, I tend to only shop and go out to do that once a week, just to minimize my contact with other human beings. But I go to work every day, and a lot of people don't get that opportunity. And for some people, sitting at home and being there all day, that's the greatest thing ever. And for others, it's really sucks. So I really like that they're doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. So if you get a chance, head to ing.com to watch the video panel in full. And you can, as I said, digitally download Justice League Dark Apokolips War, the last movie in this continuity of animated films. But otherwise, you can head to our website to purchase the Blu-ray and DVD Ultra combo packs. Blu-ray combo packs or 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray combo pack for its May 19th release, which is a week away. So you'll be able to get the physical edition next week. So that's exciting there. And speaking of Jerry O'Connell, he wasn't falling asleep there, as you said. But a really good article or interview from our friends at closerweekly.com, speaking with Jerry O'Connell about his acting career. He's been in some iconic movies like Stand By Me. He's been in Jerry Maguire, in the TV series Sliders. So he's had an illustrious career from when he was 11 years old. But for him, he says his crowning achievement, if you like, was voicing Superman in all these Superman DC Universe animated films. It's given him his highest rating on Rotten Tomatoes, voicing Superman in The Death of Superman. He's gone on to do Justice League Throne of Atlantis, Justice League vs. Teen Titans, Justice League Dark, Reign of the Superman, Batman Hush, and now Justice League Dark, Apokolips War. And he says he gets recognised for being the voice of Superman more now than he does for some of his other more known roles, which is actually physically him.
Yeah, it's funny that for me, Jerry O'Connell is one of those people I kind of grew up with, not like literally, but I was 10 years old in the summer of '86, and my family went to see Stand By Me because my mother had absolutely no compunction about taking her kids to see an R-rated film. And that was kind of a big deal for me because I'm 10 years old, and here are these kids that are like 11, 12 years old. I mean, it's set in the 50s, but still, it's one of those things where, you recognize yourself in the peer group. And so then seeing him go from that to My Secret Identity, which never gets mentioned in any of the press. I don't know if that's him doing it. I don't know if he's trying to hide from it. I just want to say in all sincerity, Jerry, embrace it, because I'm here to tell you I have never heard a single person that I talked to, so this is anecdotal, that complains about that show. I loved that show. It was about a comic book fan that gets superpowers. It was completely ahead of its time, and usually on after Superboy, so it was kind of convenient for me in the stations near where I lived. But, Sliders was huge in the 90s.
Big.
That was a big show, and he was in Joe's apartment. And I just love the fact that he's had this pretty varied career, but he loves playing Superman. I mean, and really, who wouldn't? I mean, if you get the chance, do it. That's what I'm saying. But he's absolutely right, too. I have not seen anywhere anybody complaining about his performance.
No, he's done really well, and he says that he's getting street cred with his kids now, having voiced Superman. So I don't think there's a downside in voicing a character like Superman. It's not like you can be typecast. It's not like you can get massive criticism. He was onto a good thing.
I mean, I really also, on the same level, I really can't think of a single person who's voiced Superman, like, really in the past, 30 years that didn't do a good job with it. It's like Batman, you could argue, I was really not a fan of William Baldwin's Batman in the Justice League Crisis on Earth 2 movie, but that movie had Mark Harmon as Superman, who had this kind of rugged, he's your dad's Superman, kind of like a modern-day George Reeves almost in terms of the way he played it. And Matt Bomer and Kyle MacLachlan and, Alan Tudyk did it in the Justice League War movie, and not a good movie, but he wasn't bad. So it just seems like they have had a really good run with people voicing Superman.
Yeah, so, and then we have a new animated movie next up that we can look forward to, and that is Superman Man of Tomorrow, which some images have kind of leaked online. I don't think they're officially released, and there's a few people getting all a bit sus about whether or not to be able to show these, and there hasn't been any kind of backlash or whatsoever but from Warner Brothers. But, we've got some pretty cool animated... sorry, I'm just going to grab those. Yeah, he's got Clark Kent. We've talked... There's been a lot of banter online about the animated style, and I got into a bit of discussion on our Facebook group about people saying, I don't like the animation for this. Well, you haven't actually seen any animation for this. You are looking at art style. You're looking at artwork. We don't know how this will look animated, but personally, I don't think this is a bad look for this animated movie. It's a step away from what we've seen, and I think that could be a good thing, seeing the Martian Manhunter. We've got, there has been some complaints about Superman's costume. and the belt and the the loops and that. But again, until you see it animated, I mean, so that's just the still. It's hard to really judge, if that's going to be that obvious or that much of a problem when we get to see the animated movie animated.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit that I haven't been kind of blown away by anything personally, and I'm a little nervous that it's going to be heavily based on American Alien, which again I'm not a fan of. I will admit the belt and the S being as small as it is kind of throws me off. But again, you're right. This isn't the finished product. This is basically the animated version of seeing like set photos. And like I remember when the first Andrew Garfield Spider-Man film was coming out, some set photos got released and the suit looked god awful. Now the suit didn't have a really good design to begin with, but when I saw it on screen, I'm like, and saw like official photos of it, I'm like, oh, it's not meant to be photographed like that. And again, with animation, it's not meant to be seen as a static image.
Especially if it's a still that's not like that someone's taken a screenshot of from halfway in the movie. Because if you look at some animation, when something's moving or flowing, or it's not supposed to be anatomically correct because it's in the it's in motion. So they do what they need to do to make it have a certain look. So yeah, don't judge necessarily what you're seeing. Stills, especially unofficial stills being released. And don't judge the animated movie based on those because that doesn't necessarily give you the full picture.
Yeah, I mean, even with me having reservations, I don't want that to seem like I'm bad-mouthing the movie before I've seen it or even seen like a trailer. Voice cast is amazing. Sometimes you can take something, adapt it, and make it more palatable. I have found sometimes that comic book stories are like that, where I didn't like the original comic, but I liked the movie better. So, I'm going to give it obviously I'm going to give it a chance, but, that's and because I have a problem.
That the style somehow makes the movie look older, like it's dated somehow. It does evoke like a Ruby Spears kind of feel to the designs, which I don't mind. I thought Ruby Spears were. I mean, look who they were based on. The animated, the comic books of the time. The
it was Gil Kane was their model artist, and if we could have an animated film that looks as good as the opening credits to the Ruby Spears Superman series, we're in for a great movie because those opening credits, like sometimes because it's Saturday morning television, the animation it's like when you get like a Neil Adams, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, it's like when you get a Neil Adams cover but Kurt Swan's on the inside. It's just like, okay, this is what I'm gonna get. Oh, it's not bad, but it's not what you were expecting. But I mean, somebody mentioned like it looks like Star Trek, like the Filmation Star Trek series, and I mean, come on guys, let's if they're going retro, I doubt it, because this looks like kind of a hipster Clark Kent. Yeah, or maybe that's why they're going retro.
maybe as Mark says, maybe they are going retro. And I mean, you look back at the 1940s Fleischer cartoons, and we still haven't gotten anything as close to as good an animated movie or Superman as the Fleischer cartoons because of the detail and love that was put into making them look as good as they could be. I mean, you compare Super Friends in the 70s to the Fleischers in the 40s, and it's just chalk and cheese. The Super Friends are horrendous animations.
Yeah, based on really good designs, but your average episode of Super Friends is not what you would hold up as the pinnacle of American animation. So. No. It's not quite Disney level, and even I'm not going to say this is an insult because again I'm going to get in trouble with all kinds of people. Even the Bruce Timm animated series always looked good, but there are some episodes that are a little woolly. I mean, if it's an assembly line process. Not everything's going to be perfect, and I think with the animated films that we've gotten from DC Comics and Warner Brothers. We have had some really, really good ones. We've had some kind of mediocre ones. I I wasn't really excited to see the new 52 costume in the Death of Superman promotional stuff, but when I saw it in the movie, I'm like, you know what? That looks pretty sharp for what they're doing. So it's just like one of those things. You really have to kind of calm down. Like, everybody needs to just calm down. If recent events have taught us anything, is that there are more important things than complaining on the internet about not even officially released images, because usually when Warner Brothers releases it, it looks good. It's like made to be out there to be released. And if this is some dude taking a screenshot, I mean, you're just at the mercy of his computer.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we are going to take a quick break. We're not quite yet at the halfway mark, but we're going to take a quick break because on the flip side, we are going to talk TV stuff with some casting news for Superman and Lois. We're going to be talking about the latest episode of Supergirl and the finale coming up, and we've got comic book stuff to talk about as well. So stick with us as we get into the second half hour of tonight's WGBS TV live show. We'll be back right after these messages.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer, the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
I'm freezing. Superman!
Uh-oh, sounds like Lisa and Scott are trapped in the icy cave of that frosty-faced villain, Captain Cold. This is a job for Superman.
My fast freeze zapper will freeze Superman forever.
No way, Captain. Here, kids, my new Superman Hot Cocoa Mix is the super tasting way to warm up.
It's really sweet. And chocolatey.
And see, Captain Cold can't take this warm reception. New Superman Hot Cocoa, the super tasting way to warm up.
And we're back on WGBS TV Live, where we're going to talk about TV stuff at the moment. Actually, I could do with a cup of Superman Hot Cocoa. It's freezing here at the moment. I know you guys are warming up over there, but
Oh, yeah.
I've got the heater on under the desk. I'm wearing my hoodie. I had my beanie on before, but it's cold.
You know, now that, they got Tyler Hoechlin as Superman on the CW, and that there is a Captain Cold on the CW, I think it would be really fun for them to film a commercial. You don't have to use Swiss Miss, obviously, but just some kind of commercial with the two of them. That would be kind of funny. And speaking of animation in that looked pretty sweet.
Yeah, as says Mike in the comments there, even the animation in that commercial was better than the Super Friends. So, yeah.
The irony of that statement is in the last season, they went from the Alex Toth model sheets to Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, praise be his name sheets. And that animation in that commercial was very Garcia Lopez. So maybe in the last season. But yeah, I kind of see what he's saying.
Venkman's asking, how often did pre-Crisis Superman fight Captain Cold in the comics?
I do not have an answer off the top of my head. DC heroes rarely traded villains. It wasn't like Marvel, which would, like Doctor Doom would pop up everywhere, depending on, story needs and all that. DC, they were really proprietary. So that kind of changed a little bit when, for whatever reason, they just started giving Superman's Rogues Gallery away like 10 years ago. And it was just still really bugging me that they did that. But I'm sure he fought him at some point. I just don't have a specific issue number.
Exactly. All right, getting into the TV side of things, we had some news today from Deadline.com that Wale Parks has been cast in the role known only as the Stranger for the upcoming Superman and Lois TV series. Now, he's not a face or a name that I've been familiar with, although I do believe he was in All American, Devious Maids, and some other shows that people might recognize him in. But the Stranger is described as a mysterious visitor hell-bent on proving to the world that it no longer needs Superman. Now, you and I have read the script that leaked online. The Stranger was revealed to be a known character who has already been cast and seen in the CW's Supergirl TV series, as in currently in their current episodes. Are we being thrown a curveball here?
Or it's the CW has established that theoretically you could have Brandon Routh and Tyler Hoechlin and Tom Welling all be Clark Kent. So maybe this is just a different version of that character. Or a future version of that character.
Are we on an alternate universe? Are we on a multiverse, like a different Earth? I thought Tyler and Elizabeth.
They were, but if that ending and that like the big reveal at the end of the script is any indication, and as we've seen, different versions of characters survived the crisis. I mean, Batwoman made like 3 or 4 episodes out of that with Alice and another version of her of Batwoman, Batwoman's sister showing up. Now that didn't end well for either of them, but I mean, you could also argue maybe future version.
It's going to be interesting to see. Things can change. The script doesn't have to be the way it was to be filmed. But, waiting to see just where this goes, because they have recast, Sam Lane, who was seen in the Supergirl TV series. A new actor is playing him now. Same goes for, is it Morgan Edge?
Yeah, Morgan Edge is probably going to get recast too, which is too bad because I like Adrian Pasdar. But, again, the CW is usually really good at keeping people the same thing, but I think for more quote-unquote throwaway characters, plus Smallville had like at least 2 Morgan Edges. They had Rutger Hauer, and what was that dude's name? He played Robin Hood in the 90s. Completely forget what his name is. But no, it's when I heard that he was the Stranger, I'm like, he's a Billy Joel album? Okay, I mean, that's different, but we all have a face that we hide away forever. It isn't always evil, and it isn't always wrong.
Harry Clark Hulk in the comments is saying, why recast? Well, sometimes actors just aren't available. I mean, they played the character in season 1, 2, 3 a couple of years ago, and now they've moved on to other things. And now that the character is needed again, they're not available. So the CW, by necessity, has to choose another actor for the role. There are various reasons, but that's why, in this case, Sam Lane has been recast. Maybe they just want a different take on the character for this version of the show. We'll just have to wait and see. But you haven't yet set in your review for the latest episode of Supergirl, which is the penultimate episode for this season. Because you haven't actually watched the episode yet. I did watch it last night, and without giving away too many spoilers, I will go through some of the questions that have been posed in the comments already on YouTube. But it was called The Missing Link, and it's more about Lex Luthor, more about Leviathan. The Brainy was very involved in this episode because he is very torn at the moment between his connections with Lex and what he's promised and what he thinks he has to do for Lex to be able to beat Leviathan. But at the same time, he's in between a rock and a hard place because he's pretty much going against his friends, his super friends, in this case, with what he has to do for Lex. But I thought it was a pretty strong episode, and to get to some of the questions being asked in the comments, John Patrick Van Pelt is asking, why doesn't Andrea know that Eve Tessmacher has been working for Lex instead of her? Well, this is a different version of Tess than what everybody else knew because of Crisis. So Miss Tessmacher isn't a known entity in this universe because she's not someone that has been Lex Luthor's henchwoman in this version of history.
Yeah, it's one of the weird byproducts of the Crisis that we've got characters that they don't have the same relationship that they had before. I mean, luckily we're dealing with a group of characters that all know each other and they know that there was a crisis and blah, 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 blah. But Lex never went to jail in this universe. Yeah. He was never evil. So you never had to have
an evil
Eve Tessmacher working for Cat Grant and then for, whoever else is the boss, essentially. And then to get used by Lex in the way she was. In fact, we're seeing the new version of that now with how Lex is playing her against Leviathan. I mean, she's almost more of a tragic character in this new reality.
Yeah. And he's asking, why does William and Kelly know about Eve, but not Andrea? Well, they did their research and they found out about her in this episode. Andrea has no idea who she is or has any knowledge of her whatsoever. So, and neither do William and Kelly, other than the fact that they're researching and Kelly has her memories of what happened pre-Crisis to know that Eve is not a good person.
Yeah, it's one of those things that once they get past the Crisis stuff, I think the show will shake out a little better.
Yeah. He's asking about what happens at the end with William Day in this episode. We don't know who the person is behind what happens to William Day. You'll just have to wait and see for the finale. And John's also asking, should Kara accept Lena's apology and help stop Lex and Leviathan? Yeah, I think you'll see in the promo trailer that we're about to play for the finale of Season 5 that Lena and Supergirl will come to an agreement of some kind. So we'll see just how far that extends and how far Kara can trust Lena moving forward. We'll just have to see how that plays out, and we'll I think we will probably see Lena have some kind of redemption in this episode, so we'll wait and see. But looking forward to seeing your review in the next couple of days for this past episode to get your thoughts on what you thought of the episode titled The Missing Link.
Yeah, this was just a weird couple of days where I just had no time to sit down and watch really anything. So it's not like I was kicking back and watching like binging something on Netflix or something like that. I just been weird. Yeah. There you
go. The final episode coming this Sunday is titled Immortal Combat. Now, interestingly, when the description was released by the CW couple of days ago, late last week, it was touted as the penultimate episode. David Harewood directed this penultimate episode, meaning the second last episode of the season. But it's actually the season finale. So it's almost like someone had that ready as a script to send out as a press release, didn't check it for facts as the COVID-19 pandemic took hold. It's stalling the production of this season, cutting it short by 2 episodes, or 3 episodes as the case may be. So the 19th episode is now the final episode of Season 5. It is titled Immortal Combat, as I said, and here is the promo trailer for that episode right now.
So, shall we begin ending the world?
Protecting people is what I do. Let's do this.
You don't have to let your friends die.
I don't plan to. I'm just gonna kill Supergirl myself. It'll be fun.
So there you have it. Immortal Combat. We see the return of the sister of Jesse. What's his name? The actor Jesse Rath, who plays Brainiac. It's his actual biological sister who is playing a female version of Brainiac. return, and we will, as I said, this episode was directed by David Harewood. Interesting, considering it is the finale for season 5 now.
Yeah, it's a little sad that it got cut by 3 or 4 episodes, but it's better than nothing. It's better than not doing anything and just leaving it off and hopefully picking it up, next season if things kind of calm down. And as I was reading today, I know this isn't filmed in LA, but LA is looking to keep in shelter in place till July. So
who knows?
It's a mad world. That is very true.
It's a mad world.
Yes, exactly. So you and I in a biplane.
We are dating ourselves, referencing an old movie like that.
Yes,
everyone's in the comments going, "Who?" Check it out if you've never seen it. It's a mad world. A great cast. This episode was not intended to be the finale. People in the comments saying, "What are you talking about?" The fact was that because of COVID-19, like most TV shows being filmed at the moment, production was halted because of the restrictions and self-isolations and social distancing and all that kind of stuff. So they had to cut it from 22 episodes to 19 episodes. They had filmed the majority of what they had intended, but obviously needed to rework everything to fit in a different way so that they could make a coherent story of season 5. And it'll be interesting to see just what kind of a finale we do get. But I've really enjoyed John Cryer as Lex Luthor this season. We got much more of him than I thought we were ever going to get. And it will be interesting to see whether or not some of these characters continue on to season 6, including, as somebody asked, McGann, whether or not she'll be a series regular moving forward, and John Cryer, whether or not we will get to see more of him in season 6.
I almost would think that if you keep Lex around like that, it almost dilutes the character. He was only in 3 episodes, technically 4, but physically in 3 episodes last season, and they were just a breath of fresh air. I mean, just from the moment he came on the screen, it was just like, oh, this entire show has now turned around, and the fact that he has been such a part of the story, I think, saved the season. Not that I'm saying that Supergirl isn't in and of herself enough to save it, but I wasn't very happy with the way the season started. I thought it was very weak, and maybe that was because they were prepping for Crisis. But after Crisis, everything kind of hit. They were going on all 8s. So but I don't think trying to duplicate that, because what are you going to do? Have him be around, and then about 3 or 4 episodes away from the finale, have another episode where they explain how he did everything? I mean, it would just get really repetitive.
John's also asking, do we think the shows will be back in October? I have my doubts. With nothing being filmed at the moment, there are restrictions starting to be lifted, but, productions of this kind take more people than are currently allowed to be together in groups, and then there's a traveling issue. Some people are not necessarily in Canada at the moment where they shoot these shows. They might be back in America, with families, so they can't travel. I think we're going to see a lot longer before. I don't think September, October is going to be the dates where we see new shows come back like we usually do. I think it'll probably be closer to November, December.
Yeah, if we get it, yes. I mean, I have read different articles. One, the CW shows are trying to rethink how they shoot, how they do fight scenes, how they have their actors together, because you just want to be safe until we can get a stronger testing and a vaccine out of this thing. And vaccines don't just happen. You've got to, as has been proven, I think, you really need to test these things before you get it. So it's going to be a weird world. And they just announced that to basically fill in for at least 10 weeks. The CW is going to be running Swamp Thing from the DC Universe app. So we may just get stuff that has already been done on a streaming service on network, though I don't think they're going to do the Titans. Or Doom Patrol.
Yes. We also have to remember that Melissa Benoist is currently pregnant with child. Yeah. So that can obviously cause issues as far as she's not ready or not in the correct shape, as it were, for Supergirl to put on the tights. But I'm sure they're figuring out some kind of way around that.
It would be cool if they found another actress and did Power Girl for 6 months until Melissa was ready to come back. Or you could pull the Xena / Buffy the Vampire thing where Kara's consciousness and powers go into switches with another actress, and that actress plays Supergirl for 6 months while Kara's body is off doing whatever.
Or they just put her in that suit thing where she just has that facial.
And they shoot her from here up for 5 months, and then it's just her in the suit. Yeah, that'd be kind of funny, actually. Where she's trapped in the suit. That's it. She's trapped in the suit.
She can't get out.
They just keep cutting to her and the Iron Man shots.
That's it. All right, looking back at older TV shows, specifically Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, Howie Mandel, who played probably the best version of Mixius Pitalik we've seen on TV to date, he spoke to Comic Book Central in their podcast where he talked about having played Mixie. I haven't yet listened to the episode. I believe you gave it a try, but struggled. He was a great version of Mixie.
Yeah, I mean, we had Michael J. Pollard, who sadly passed away recently, who was so comic book accurate 70s Mr. Mixus-Pitalik. It was wow, they actually did that costume. But the character itself was a little over the top. Smallville was terrible. I really liked the guy that was playing him this past season on Supergirl. But Howie Mandel is interesting. I think a lot of people now associate him with Deal or No Deal, where he's like a Lex Luthor looking dude. This guy was on St. Elsewhere for almost its entire run. He had a great stand-up career. He did animation in the 90s. He did Bobby's World, which was based on one of his stand-up routines. So him as Mixie, at the time he played Mixie, was dead on perfect. You didn't need to get anybody else to play the character. And in a season full of terrible episodes, it was actually pretty good.
So if you want to check that out, Comic Book Central, the podcast is available on our website. Now, talking about all this Superman TV stuff that we have been discussing, there's actually a new Kindle book out by author Peter Hoffman titled The Encyclopedia of Superhero TV Series, which discusses all the series from 1937 until today, with an additional preview of what's going to come up in between now and 2022. It covers shows like the serials, Adventures of Superman, the never-released Superboy and Super Pup pilots, the Superboy TV series from the 1980s, Lois and Clark, Smallville, Supergirl, Krypton, and more. It's only $1.99 on Amazon for your Kindle. So it's probably very much worth checking out. Here is the cover for it. That's available, 2020 edition of Encyclopedia of Superhero TV Series.
One, that is a very nice copyright-free cover. Good job. You got to skirt around actually having to pay any. And I'm saying that seriously.
Yeah.
Two, that Superboy pilot was much better than it deserved to be. I mean, John Rockwell looked about 35 in the show, but it was actually really good. The funny thing is have you've seen it?
Yes.
Have you seen
it? And Super
Okay.
Pop.
So the tape that I got that on through dubious means in the 90s had the screen tests with it as well.
Yes.
And I remember watching it, and the girl they cast as Lana was blonde, one, which was weird. But, they always cast redheads, don't they? But there was another girl that was a redhead that that me and my friend were watching it going, she'd be so much better in this role. Why did they cast that other girl? So, I don't know. If you can find it, because I know they released it as part of the Smallville box set, the series box set. But it's actually really worth watching. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, there's Johnny Rockwell on the right there, and there's a Super Pup image on the left there. They were never released. They were funny to watch, but yes, made by the same people who were making the Adventures of Superman TV show with George Reeves. Obviously, with his passing, they went on to try to do other things as well. So yeah, check that out if you get a chance. What are you laughing about?
I'm just laughing that, okay, George Reeves has passed on. What do we do? Why don't we get some little people and put them in dog costumes? Go for it. And just use the same sets. I mean, it's just like, you guys are so cheap. You are just so cheap.
All right. Well, let's move on to the comic book side of things. And in a sobering story, the longtime Superman writer and editor, man of many talents, Marty Pasko, passed away this week, aged only 65. What a legend. Just a great loss to the industry.
Yeah, you want to talk about nobody having a bad thing to say about somebody. I have seen so many eulogies coming out on social media that said nothing about what a wonderful human being he was. And he was talented as well. He wrote Superman, and it's I'm hoping that I'm getting this information right, because I think I am. He was adopted as well, so he really related to Superman on that level, and you can feel that in his stories. The Bronze Age Superman often gets tagged with this reputation that, there was no pathos, there was no drama, but Pasko wrote Action Comics number 500, which was an anniversary issue where they retold the origin of the Silver and Bronze Age Superman. It is the single best retelling of that origin ever. Full stop. You can look at any other version and they'll be good, but there is a moment in this one where he's experiencing the death of Krypton, and you see him break down, and it's just really heartfelt and emotional the way he writes the side characters. He just had such a way of making Superman human in a time when Superman really wasn't that. And he co-wrote Batman Mask of the Phantasm, the single greatest Batman movie of all time. I mean, on those two alone, this man is a legend.
Yeah, I mean, he started working on Superman back in 1973 and worked on the character through the 80s and 90s and even up to modern times with stories that were required of him. He wrote episodes of the Ruby Spears Superman cartoon series. He was just involved in so many aspects of Superman's history that, as he said, nobody had a bad word to say about him. DC actually have a book coming out later in August titled The Superman's Greatest Team-Ups, which collects stories from Superman's DC Comics Presents stories featuring greatest team-ups from the 80s, collected in this hardcover edition for the first time. That's not the final cover, but that's just a representation of what they've currently got there on Amazon at the moment. But and that's been in the works for a while now, ready to be published in August. Before his passing, I think it's just going to be a fitting tribute that will come out in August to commemorate what a wonderful contributor he has been to the comic book industries across many publishers, but especially for Superman.
Yeah, Batman has had a lot of tales of the Batman or legends of the Batman, by Jerry Conway, by Jim Aparo, by Norm Brayfogle, by Marshall Rogers, but writers are getting more in there. I don't think they would lose money on a Superman, whatever they call it, because they've done only one or two of the Superman ones. with just Marty Pasko stories in it, because a lot of them were one and done. So it's not like you have a continued story to worry about.
Yeah.
And just to have those redone in the digital coloring and all that, I think it would just be amazing.
Yeah. Well, on the modern times of things, comic books are back, and for Superman fans, there is something to buy this week in both physical and digital formats. So looking at what is available this week, we have Justice League number 44, which is available in a variant cover as well. We also have Lois Lane number 10, which is also available in a variant cover. And both of these books, having been released on Tuesday today, are already available as reviews up on our website. So make sure you head to supermanhomepage.com to check out the reviews of those two comic books. Also out this week is Action Comics Volume 2, Leviathan Rising, trade paperback, and Action Comics Volume 3, Leviathan Hunt, hardcover, right there. We also have out this week The Adventures of Superman by George Perez, hardcover. And then also this week, the trade paperback collection of Superman Smashes the Klan by Gene Luen Yang, which is a must-have. Also out this week on digital, first only, is Superman Man of Tomorrow number 4, also already available. And then on Saturday, DC Superhero Girls Infinite Frenemies number 4 will be available for digital download.
So last week we talked about comics being released on Tuesday from DC now and what that means. I had a chance to talk to the owner of the comic shop that I go to get up the few books I still get. Not welcome.
No.
in a time period where you want some sense of normalcy, they completely upended that. So at least the one I talked to was not happy about it.
There you go. Somebody mentioned in the comments earlier, Hershey's teaming up with DC Comics to send out a batch of Hershey's milk chocolate bars featuring DC Comics characters to the real-life heroes, those on the front lines of the pandemic. They're sending those candy bars out to them with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And the sweets treats will be available, or are already available, I'm seeing, for the wider community with other Justice League characters also in the packaging. And this is just part of what Hershey's are doing to raise millions of dollars to help out those on the front line of the COVID-19 pandemic, including, first responders, paramedics, doctors, nurses, and all those people helping out on the front line for this health crisis.
Yeah, it's neat. I kind of like that. Again, I feel bad for whoever has to do the merchandising art for Superman these days, because there isn't a single consistency in there.
No, indeed. So that is pretty much where we're at with the news for Superman for this week. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to WGBS TV Live for tonight's show. I want to thank everyone in the YouTube comments there for participating live with your questions and comments as the show has gone on. And thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Tina Murray, Douglas Meacham, and John Patrick Van Pelt. And to you, my co-host, Michael Bailey, thank you so much.
Oh, pleasure as always, Steve.
I hope you have a better week this week and that you kind of feel better about where things are at in the world.
I'll probably
anyway.
cheer up. I was manic last week, so I guess I was going to crash at some point. But we get to do this, and it's fun, and thank you.
No problem at all. Thank you. And remember, tonight's episode of WGBS TV Live will remain available on our YouTube channel and our Superman homepage website. Perhaps you missed part of the show, tuned in late, you'll be able to watch it all in full at our website. But Michael and I will be back next week on Tuesday, May 19th for another edition of WGBS TV Live. We look forward to talking to you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.